Hello, everyone. We're going to wait a couple more minutes to see if more people tune in. And then we'll start class. Everyone, to everyone joining us on YouTube, could you please check in and let me know who's viewing? Just want to take a quick roll. Everyone, there isn't a lot of people tuning in right now. Kind of forgot that it was a holiday weekend. Would you guys like to continue, or we can postpone for next week? Let me know.
Bernard, are you all there? Lucinda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There was a slight echo when Dwayne was speaking, but I'm here. But he said he was thinking about postponing for next week.
He was asking, do y'all want to continue or postpone for next week?
Oh, I know one's on the YouTube.
Only a couple people. I think Jack just signed in from Italy. He's there. Nobody else. I didn't see nobody else sign in. Are you on YouTube too?
Who, me?
Yeah. Did you
No.
sign YouTube? So.
Jack is saying, please keep going. Many people watch later.
Yeah, that's true. Many people do watch later.
All right, then we'll keep going. Anything making a short class, but we'll see.
You want, all right, you want to, go ahead. You guys want to do an open discussion, or you want to, keep up what we was doing last week?
I figured if there's low attendance, we can keep it short. Just do the open discussion. Low attendance, we can keep it short. Just do the open discussion. Well, there is an echo. Sorry. Let me see if I can fix that. You might try muting yourself for a second. Okay, is there still the echo? Or they'll be able to hear me clearly?
I think it sounds better now.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Let's go ahead and begin today's open discussion with reciting. Well, first of all, hello. Let me turn my camera on.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Welcome, everyone. Let's start today's open discussion with reciting Prayer for Spiritual Workers. Sorry for the noise in the background. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right, welcome everyone to another open discussion and various topics class. So we will keep today's open discussion short. Just have a Q&A session, and we will continue looking at the senses of man next week. Or if there aren't enough questions, then we may just look at the second page. We finished the first page. We finished this page last week, where we talked about the mechanics of psychic development. We defined what is psychic development. We looked at the flow of energy through Ida and Pingala. We talked about the ways we increase the flow of prana within the nadis through the pranayama practice. We discussed some visualization practices and mental concentration practices, and we also looked at the keys for manipulating and increasing the flow of subtle energies from the pranayama practices. Do we have any questions or comments? I apologize for the noise in the background. It's raining here. Actually, it's storming. So I may lose internet connection a little bit, but it's all right. We'll keep going. Any questions, any comments? All right, if there are no questions at this time, let's continue to the second page. Again, this is the nadis and the senses of man. Handouts. They are available in the Google Drive shared folder. The link is in the description on YouTube or in the email announcements for today's class. When you click on that folder, it should be in the 2022 notes folder. And you should see this as well as a couple other handouts referring to the mystic knowledge of the physical and psychic senses. If you have any questions or comments, anytime, feel free to post them in the chat. We'll take a look at those and try to answer those for you. So let's start with the table on the upper right-hand corner, where it looks at the human sense organs and the senses that correspond to those organs. And then we also going to take a look at the senses if they exist on the physical astral, as they exist on the physical astral and etheric planes. So we'll start with the nose, which is associated with smell. And then also have a physical, astral, and etheric counterpart. The tongue for taste, the eyes for sight, skin for touch, the ears for hearing, and the feet for movement. Then we get to the anus for excretion, the genitals for generation, the hands for grasping, and the voice for speech. Remember we said before, these senses are all the ways in which we interact with our environment or with energies around us. So if you look at it from that perspective, then you can understand how feet, anus, genitals, hands, and voice are considered by the yogis as senses. And we also mentioned last time that even though in this illustration, Nehemiah is helping us to understand these senses by attributing them to a sense organ, that particular sense, especially when you get into astral and etheric levels, is not tied or solely tied to that particular organ. So you can see with the tongue, you can see through smelling, you can see through touch in other ways. So the senses can be, are not limited to the particular organ illustrated here. It's just to help us to understand. Anima, why are these 4 here in the grayed out boxes?
When I was doing this, I think when we first visited this, we was talking about the minor pranas and the major pranas.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when you look at the the minor pranas, you'll see that it has a I don't want to say that it has like a negative type reaction, or it's a lot of it is instinctive actions in the body, or part of the body where the conscious mind is more of a subconscious thing than a conscious thing. So it has a lot to do with that. Because you have 5 major pranas and 5 minor pranas, which corresponds with your senses. So when you're looking at the minor pranas have it associated with excretion, the genitals, the reflex, and voice, because voice is instinctive too, because when you think, you also speak, but you don't realize that you're speaking. And also that lung, that organ, it belches, you belch, you release, you sneeze, all of those things are minor pranas. They happen from minor pranas.
So as Imai was answering that, it reminded me of, other hand, I was trying to find it really quick, where he lists all the pranas, and he lists the functions that are attributed to them. I was trying to find that so I can quickly throw it up. But this diagram also came to mind. But we'll get to this. This is in the Withdrawing the Senses handout, and this is also in the share folder. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But I wasn't able to find the prana diagram where all the 10 pranas are listed, and it shows the bodily functions that are associated with them. I'll look for it for next time. So as you're answering that question, it came to mind. I wanted to put it up. I don't remember exactly which diagram it was. Or is. Okay. Let's continue. The nadi configuration that produces the sense organs to register, read, analyze, and express outside objects, places, and person. A yogi system recognizes 10 senses instead of just the 5 senses listed by the physical scientists. The yogi engages a greater portion of the human body's functions. A subtle magnetic field is created from the activities of the nadis, chakras, and human sense organs. And this is called and recognized as the mental bodies of man and the part of the multi-layered auric body. And so if you look at the illustration to the left of the paragraph, you'll see the subtle magnetic mental fields of operation. That's what's being referred to as it propagates throughout the entire auric structure, as well as these psychic centers. Within this magnetic auric mental field has a accumulated substance called tanmantras, which is the sensory material of the mental bodies. Normally, the sensory material goes unnoticed by the conscious mind and gets stored away in the subconscious mind to be used at a later date. So what does that term mean, sense material?
Yeah, that's they referring back to the sense organs. Well, I'm referring back to the sense organs when you hear that sense material. Because you have the sense organs, and then you have the senses, and then and that's what regulates the all the built up what's the word for it? I guess you could say samskaras and positive and negative karma of your many lives. It fills and clog up the auric fields of your existence, of your real body. The auric body is your real body.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as manifestation is considered. And what happens is that the lower part, the astral levels of your aura is filled with the impurity traits. And that's where a lot of the minor prana builds up at or can function. It functions to bring about the necessary pressures, atomic pressures that Dr. George King talked about. And for at least this physical plane and astral plane. And so So your sense organs filter through that, and your senses filter through that. But the pressure only allow you to use them to a certain capacity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Really quickly, this isn't exactly what I was referring to, but it does have a discussion on the pranic formations. So I want to cover that in regarding to the mystic constitution of man. You may remember this presentation. If you look back at our mystic constitution of man lecture series, Nehemiah introduces this powerful presentation and goes through each slide and goes into more detail. I'm just going to briefly go over the prana formations as they relate to the functions within the body. The first is prana. This is the first aspect of prana, the vital life force of the body. This aspect of prana travels down from the head. Right, so if you look at the illustration, you can, on the right-hand side, the different lines and represent the different types of prana, therefore, and where they travel and their function. Also illustrated by the numbers on the right-hand side. So this is prana. This is the first aspect of prana, the vital life force of the body. This aspect of prana travels down from the head level to the solar plexus region. This is considered, and back up, this is considered to be the forward breath or the inhalation. It brings in fuel. Second is apana. I'm sorry, going to say anything, Nehemiah?
No,
I was going to say that.
I didn't say that.
And then second is apana. The second prana is apana, the aspect of prana that travels from the anus area, base of the spine chakra, to the solar plexus chakra. This apana prana is considered to be the out breath, exhalation. It functions below the chest, moving from the base of the base chakra through the sex chakra up to the solar plexus chakra and back down to the base chakra. Next, we have samana. This flow of prana is located in the solar plexus region, which is the digestion and assimilation of gross energies. The samana prana has an equalizing quality to it. It converts fuel into energy. Prana and apana meet together near the navel, creating the conditions to produce or release the aspect of samana prana. It helps to regulate the interchange of these two forces at their meeting place, equalizes them, and is the most important agent in maintaining the equilibrium of the vital forces and their functions. This is the balancing breath. Okay, Jack, I see your questions. I'm going to get to them after I finish reading this bit on prana, a couple more. Udana. This fourth flow of prana is located at the throat area and travels through the head, arms, and legs. This fourth aspect of the major pranas is called udana. It is the positive pranic flow that allows man to speak and manifest consciousness through intelligent moving of head, arms, and legs. It governs the positive energy created to work the body machine called the physical body. And then finally, we have Vyana. This prana is the fifth major aspect of prana. It flows throughout the whole body. It regulates both the prana and the apana and keeps them in harmony. This is considered to be the power behind the continuous breath of man. It sustains prana when the main flow of prana is held in abeyance, as in actions requiring extreme effort or in concentration. It is all pervasive within the subtle bodies and a gross body. It distributes these vital energies throughout the body. Okay, a couple questions here. If someone has a back injury with a vertebrae out of position, can this affect the rise of Kundalini or even just energy flow?
Yes, it can. We're told that that you must protect your spine if you want to fully develop yourself, because if you have an injury to the spine, it will affect how you raise Kundalini. It will affect how you develop yourself. So just for you to know, Swami Sivananda gave a lot of information on what's called Kundalini Yoga, and his students compiled a lot of his essays and notes and lectures and put it into a book. And what they did, they gave you the preliminary things you need to know in order to raise Kundalini and in order to deal with Kundalini. And the majority of those exercises is strengthening the body and cleansing the body of waste in order to move forward with the ability to raise Kundalini, in order to move forward to practice the 11 or 12 yogas that I talk about. So it's all, the whole, most of his book is about preparation and cleansing of the body in order to allow a free flow of the energy. So one of the things is strengthen the body, and that's strengthening the structure, so that it can contain the energy as you pull the energy up through the spine or the physical vertebrae of the spine. So yes, an injury will affect you.
Let me ask you something. So if you are at the stage where you're consciously doing this, then couldn't you use that same process or energy to heal yourself?
If it's comically fit, yes. Remember, every circumstance is a buildup of pressure to limit you in order for you to come to some type of awareness of where you are and what you did and how you had that reaction. So that's what the pressures are. So that's why, that's why the whole focus in serpent power in Kundalini Yoga, in Pranayama and Raja Yoga, and even in the teachings of the Third Society, even Dr. King talked about cleansing of the aura. And that's all that is to remove the impurities. And the impurities are the pressures that's holding you back.
Okay.
Another question, are Ida and Pingala divas?
Ida and Pingala is the divic force of Kundalini. Kundalini is a diva. And Ida and Pingala is the energy that was separated, is Shakti power separated into 2 or 3 sources. When the Shakti power separates, they name it, well, when it separates at the Muladhara, they call it the major separation, they call, or the major types, they call it Ida, Pingala, and Shushana. So now, of course, is actually separated in thousands of separations. So we're told that it's separated in 200,000 lines of force. But we talk about 3 types of the separation. And those lines of force are magnetically attracted to 108 chakras. So, but to simplify things, we talk about the types of the flow of energy: a negative flow of energy, which is a mental flow of energy, and a positive flow of energy, which is a vital flow of energy, and then a neutral flow of energy, which is a positive and negative blend together, moving in one direction.
Okay, is that book on the Mystic Knowledge website? It might be. If it's not, Jack, let me know and we'll see if we can find it for you. Okay. Now, this is what we just looked at in the Mystic Constitution of Man presentation, but here it's illustrated a little better. Or actually, this is the same illustration, but it made larger. And so you can see better which pranic flows associated in which area of the body. So number 1 in the green, prana. See, that's represented here, this area. Sorry. Number 2 in red, apana. 3, samana. 4, udana. And 5, vyana. In the subtle human structure, there are 5 major pranas that have a distinct flow and pattern of operation. These pranas travel through the nadi system, which are 242,000 lines of force, charged with positive and negative energies that are distributed throughout the subtle bodies, giving life and consciousness to all levels and parts of subtle bodies and gross body. And I also wanted to take a look at this diagram, which maybe more, I'm thinking about this a bit advanced. But I also wanted, well, maybe many of you may not have heard that lecture given by Dr. George King on color, but Imai does have a lecture on the colors, their meaning, and when you see those colors represented in the aura, what that can possibly mean that the individual is thinking or experiencing or expressing. But I wanted to take a look at this to give us an idea of how the pranas interact with the psychic centers. Because we're talking about the senses, right? So which is basically the flows of prana throughout the nadi system. And through pranayama, we are cleaning up or unclogging the nadis to allow a greater flow of that pranic energy throughout the nadis, and thereby enhancing and developing our psychic senses, which is a merging of the physical, astral, and etheric senses. So this takes that discussion further, or this diagram goes further into the science of the pranas and how they dominate within each of the second centers. Out of the Shakti principles came the Mahabhutas. These Shakti principles moved forward and created 5 distinct sound vibrations that wrap themselves in the Shakti power and is called the Mahabhutas. So this is, if you remember back at specifically the first 6 chapters in the ancient language of the soul, as well as 7 and 8. I think 8 goes into the more detail about the chakra system. So think back into the text we studied, the ancient language of the soul, and you'll have a better understanding of what Nimai is talking about in this diagram. The Mahabhutas is subtle universal cosmic energies or Shakti power that expresses those infinite universal subtle elements which are described as follows: Akasa, Vayu, Agni, Apas, and Prithivi. They are the subtle modes of vibrations within the cosmos. When man has purified the nadi pathways that carry the prana and apana energies, a balancing of these pranic force is karmically allowed, then the combined force activates the Manipura chakra and accentuates the powers of this chakra, giving man the ability to operate on higher levels of consciousness. Right? And Manipura is a Sanskrit name for the solar plexus center. In the practice of pranayama, one of the main goals is to balance these 2 major pranas, prana and apana, through the control of rhythmic breathing, which encompasses an even flow of inhalation and exhalation of breath and measured retention of breath with the incorporation of concentration and visualization. All right, so really quick, let's jump back and see, well, what is it that aprana and apana, right? Because we looked at that before and in their flows. Pranapana, prana, this is the first aspect of prana, the vital life force of the body. This aspect of prana travels down from the head level to the solar plexus region. This is considered to be the forward breath or the inhalation. It brings in fuel. Then apana, the second prana, is the apana aspect of prana that travels from the anus area, base of the spine chakra, to the solar plexus chakra. This apana is considered the out breath, exhalation. Its functions below the chest, moving from the base chakra to the sex chakra, up to the solar plexus chakra, and back down to the base chakra area. So if you remember in a previous class, and Nehemiah kind of revealed this key to us, is that we have prana going from the head to the solar plexus and then back up. And then you have apana going from the base chakra up to the solar plexus chakra and then back down. And that these 2 pranas don't meet each other, right? One goes down and then up, another one goes up and down, and they both have this conjunction point at the solar plexus, but they don't actually meet there. So apana stops at the solar plexus center and then goes back down to the base. Prana goes down to the solar plexus center and goes back up to the head. And the goal we just talked about here is the merging together of those 2 forces so that it is a single energy going from the base all the way up to the crown and back down. So they might reveal that to us in the previous pranayama class, our lecture. I'm just repeating what he mentioned before. So why do we do this? The control of prana and apana helps to gain control over the other 3 major pranas, which are samana, udana, and vyana. Samana is a major prana that is mainly concentrated in the navel area. The Udana major prana is concentrated in the throat area and travels through the head, arms, and legs. The Vyana major prana is located in the sex chakra and travels throughout the entire body. So first, we want to gain control of prana and apana. And gaining control of prana and apana helps us to gain control over the other three major pranas, which are Samana, Udana, and Vyana. In other words, the goal is to gain control over all the energy flowing throughout the auric structure. And then we drain all that energy and we throw it at Kundalini to awaken this Kundalini goddess and begin the evolutionary steps of moving up the Sushumna pathway. Just a couple of questions. Sorry, do you want to add or anything in mind or correct me if I said something incorrect?
No, that's correct.
A couple of questions here. We are talking about senses here. Could you please expand on Pratyahara, how to practice it? I only know the Yoni Mudra.
Pratyahara is when you withdraw the senses. A basic form of what people call meditation, what the commercial people call meditation is Pratyahara, because you try to calm the body down and you reflect inwards. So the yoni method is where you physically place the thumbs over the ears, the first finger, second finger over the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and then you stare upwards. But that type of practice is not meant to be done continuously. The more constant practice that we would practice. I think I went over this in the lectures on practices, where you on a daily basis you teach the body to relax itself, and you teach because you want the body to relax itself so that you can move into the mental world. And when you move into the mental world, you have each sense to suspend itself. Instead of concentrating outside of the body, you concentrate on the things that's happening in the body, and you go into a mental state gradually, and it takes a while to do that. It may take months to do it. So it's I'm sure I have a couple of lecture takes to go into the different practices on. I think I did it in Raja Yoga.
Yes,
the Raja Yoga series. So you go online and look at that, you'll see the more specific practices. Also, there's a beginner's book by what is called Yoga Ramacharaka.
Science of Breath?
No. Well, you could use the Science of Breath too, but to describe what I'm talking about is Raja Yoga.
Oh, yes.
The series of lessons of Raja Yoga by Yoga Ramacharaka. It's actually on our website. You can download it.
Okay. And the next question, when are you considered to have mastered Pratyahara? What are the benefits of mastering it? Oh, wow. The universe is yours, basically.
You would know.
Yeah.
Someone who have mastered that, they have control over they have control over their consciousness, and they can move from one plane to the next once they have mastered this. The body actually become a shell for them. Not only the physical body, but the astral body and the etheric body becomes nothing but a shell. They can function within the auric body, and they can project from the physical body into the astral body, project from the astral body into the etheric body, project from the etheric body into the mental planes. So they have extreme abilities to mold and shape energy and matter the way they want to, because they have control over the mind. I hope that answers your question.
I wanted to draw special attention to the first sentence in the second paragraph here. Specifically, when man has purified the naughty pathways that carry the prana and apana energies, a balancing of this pranic force is karmically allowed. Then the combined force activates the Manipura chakra and accentuates the power of the chakra, giving man to operate at the high levels of consciousness. I wanted to bring special attention to karmically allow. And the best way for us in these days, for most people, and most balanced way to positively manipulate your karma, allowing you to combine these energies and operate on higher levels of consciousness, is prayer. And I want to say specifically dynamic prayer, as taught by Dr. George King, and in practices like the 12 Blessings, Operation Prayer Power, and so forth. Prayer and healing are not the quickest ways, but the safest and the most balanced ways. And I think the ways it work best for most of the human race to positively manipulate their karma and allow for the merging of the prana and apanic energies and the operation on the higher levels of consciousness. Okay. So let's look at the diagram here. And these colors and these concentric circles represent the chakra colors in the table, right? As well as the major prana colors. So first in the table, we have the Muladhara chakra, the red. And we can see here Muladhara chakra, or the base of spine chakra, is in red. The outer layer is red. That is the major dominating prana. And as we move so into the center, we have the different colors. Svadhisthana chakra, the sex center, orange, and major downing. Oh. Don't get confused in saying that even though that he's, I'm sitting here, it's a dominating prana, it's not the only prana that's available, present in the centers. You see all the prana is there, but as in, like say, the different times of the day, all throughout the day, all major pranas are being propagated by the sun, but at different time periods, you'll have one prana dominating and the others to a lesser degree, but then it rotates throughout the day. Similar here, each of the psychic centers, you have a major dominant prana, but all the pranas are present to one degree or another. But in Svadhisthana chakra, the sex center, the orange, which is the Vijnana. Manipura chakra, the dominating is yellow, which is Samana. On the Bhuta is fire, Agni. And in the heart center, Anahata chakra, It is a green color prana, or air. And in the throat center, the dominating prana there is color is blue, or udana. And we have the Christ center, the Ajna chakra, dominant color there is purple. But again, all I see here in the illustrations, he does show that all the pranas are present, but there is a dominating prana at that particular center. Any questions or comments? I apologize for hopping around so much between different diagrams. I know I said just wanted to cover one page, but there's a lot of information and supplementary information that goes into the study of every subject in metaphysics. And I wanted to give as much information as I can pull up at this time to help not just you guys, but also myself to understand the information. Next time, Elena, to go along with your questions on Pratyahara, we'll look at withdrawal of the senses. We'll go into more of a study of that subject. This diagram should be available in the shared folder. So you can take a look at these 4 pages in preparation for next time. We finished the nadis and the senses of man. There's 2 pages in this collection of diagrams. Next time we'll move into Pratyahara, as well as we'll look at this actual table, which goes into more detail about, or did we read this already? I think I read this already, yeah. So next time we'll go into withdrawal of the senses from the consciousness. So are there any final questions or comments before we close out today's short session?
The lectures I did on the practices, that's not available online anymore, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Right. If there's no further comments or questions, let's close out with reciting the New Lord's Prayer. Given by the Master Jesus through the mediumship of Dr. George King. And it's available from the Aetherius Society. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so, receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance and your participation. Do review those notes in the shared drive folder, in the shared Google Drive folder. There's at least 2020, 2021, 2022, a couple of years of notes in there. So you can go back and take a look at those and have any questions at all. You can bring that to our next open discussion and we'll be happy to answer those for you. As well, you can email us with any questions or comments you may have, and we'll do our best to respond to those. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.